Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one for you this morning. We're going to talk about the Fed. They say it's a once-in-a-century bid to remake the U.S. dollar. Funny enough, you're not going to believe who else talks about that. And we're also going to dig down a little bit into this El Salvador making Bitcoin legal tender. There's some problems here, and I think you should know about it. CBDC's BIS, and we're going to break down 3 different models that they are currently looking at for the central bank digital currencies, and I think you might be surprised. Let's go ahead and roll this beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove and everything that we're talking about here. This is just a reminder from Dark Defender here that says, hi there all. He's got his coffee and he wanted to update us all on XRP. He says, we're on the verge of a decision till tomorrow. No room left in the daily chart to move, so a breakout is expected. It is decision time. If we're going to move up, our resistant points will be at 98 cents and $1.10. If we're going to break and roll over and roll down in this actual triangle here, we should be looking to the 72 cent range and 65 cent beyond that. So this is where we're at. It's at that point where it's kind of decision time. And it's also Coins Kid also reminds us too. He says, remind yourself that back in April, Coins Kids told you ABC correction was coming, a big one, and it was inbound for crypto, and a shakeout of the bulls and weak hands was at play before a continuation for Bitcoin to move onward towards 200,000 per Bitcoin. See you on the beach, Coins Kids. And he hashtags ETH, XRP, and BTC. So that's where both of them are this morning. Let's take a look at the market and the prices really quickly here. We're seeing 1.5 trillion here. Just let me refresh because it was up early this morning. Yeah, 35,000 plus for Bitcoin, 2,300 plus for Ethereum, Cardano at $1.44, XRP at 83 cents, and everything is off, right? So let's take a look at the range right now. Now that we know the price points we want to look for here, we're at 83 cents, and we are ranging between 82 cents on the low end and 84 cents on the high end. We will keep an eye on that. Currently, things are really stalling. So, but to that point, I do believe we're moving to a place where you're seeing all of the sellers really get out of the market and get out of the way, and there should be some volume to move to the upside sooner rather than later. But that don't mean we won't roll over and see some more downside and find support in the 70 and 65 cent range, and maybe even below that. One thing I do know is if we get below the 70 cent range and the 60 cent range, Mrs. Backup's not going to like it, but I'm going to be buying more. That's how that goes. All right, looking at this is Bybit seeks a volcanologist. Yeah, a person who studies volcanoes following El Salvador's volcano Bitcoin mining project. Now you hear this and you think it's, really crazy. And you read the article and you come away with it thinking, this is still really crazy. Look, there's a lot to talk about here. Let's unpack this. They're going to actually get a geologist who is a volcanologist and study the volcanic energy in El Salvador. And they're going to talk about how it can be used to harness that energy for mining of Bitcoin. It says, our engineers just informed me that they dug a new well that will provide approximately 95 megawatts of 100% clean, zero emissions geothermal energy from our volcanoes. And that's great, starting a design, a full Bitcoin mining hub around it. What you see coming out of the well is pure water vapor. Now, that part of it's good. I guess the downside of it is what happens if the volcano just fully erupts? That's the downside, right? So I don't know what to make of that, but I tell you, the story just gets even deeper. This is from XRP Quebec, Crypto Quebec, and shout out to you, my friend, here. The president of El Salvador tweeted the new Bitcoin laws now in effect in Spanish and English. I'm going to quickly run through these just so you get a feel of how this is laid out. And I don't know how anybody could look at this and not see that there is trouble here. Let's just This is not to beat up on Bitcoin. You know, Mrs. Backup and I hold a little Bitcoin in our portfolio, and I wish I had 1,000 or 10,000 Bitcoin. Okay, but the reality is this is a problem. You're getting ready to see it for yourself. All right, so the proposal of this law is to regulate Bitcoin in unrestricted legal tender with liberating power, unlimited in any transaction. Public or private, natural or legal persons require carrying it. What is mentioned in the previous paragraph does not hinder the application of monetary integration law. It goes through and lays this out. You can use tax contributions can be paid in Bitcoin, prices expressed in Bitcoin. Exchanges in Bitcoin will not subject to capital gains, just like any legal tender. The whole bit. You get it. Let me move quickly through this, and you can obviously dig down on it in my Twitter, and shout out to Crypto Quebec for this. Without prejudice to the actions private sector, the alternatives transactions of Bitcoin have automatic and instant convertibility from Bitcoin to USD if they wish. Furthermore, the state will promote training mechanisms so the population can access Bitcoin transactions. Okay, let's move forward here because there's some other information I want to quickly go through here. And it says, before entry into the force of this law, the state will guarantee through the creation of trust that El Salvador, the automatic and instantaneous convertibility of Bitcoin to USD necessary for the alternatives provided by the state mentioned in Article 15. This law, special character application concerning the laws regulate matter repealing provisions that contradicts it. This decree will take effect 90 days after its publication in the official Gazette. Okay, so they're doing it. Now, let me just skip ahead here because this is in section 1, and you get the idea that they're doing it. Okay. Now, here it goes into like the currency board, what they're going to be doing, right? For example, if there's an ice cream parlor, the owner of the ice cream parlor, he does not really want to take the risk. I mean, he has to accept Bitcoin because it's mandated currency, but he doesn't want to take the risk of the convertibility. He might win money. He may lose money. So he wants dollars deposited in his bank account. So when he sells the ice cream, he can ask the government to exchange his Bitcoin to dollars. Of course he can do that in the market also, as well as asking the government for it, but the government would have a fund to do it immediately. So it's not volatile because the government is going to take the risk of the minutes or half an hour that it's going to take for him to do his transaction. All right, but that's a problem right there. So what they're saying is that basically the government's going to hold a slush fund of Bitcoin, right? And that's going to be their liquidity pool. Right, that's what they're going to do. And if the ice cream parlor guy doesn't want to take the risk of accepting the Bitcoin directly, then what they're saying is that the government will cover that spread through the volatility and make that ice cream parlor owner whole on that transaction. I think this is going to become a mess very quickly. It says the trust will be set up with a National Development Bank, Bandasol, not by the central bank, with $150 million in actual dollars. The central bank's total reserve of $2.5 billion. The president admitted on the Spaces calls $150 million was a lot of the money to El Salvador. The trust fund will assume all of the risk the price where Bitcoin goes down. If the fund is limited to $150 million, that's not a recipe for utter disaster, but all the trust is doing is providing cover for Bitcoin's ridiculous volatility. Okay, the trust is being set up in a partnership with Strike, so I suspect it won't be paying out in dollars, but in tethers. Here's where we run into another issue here, right? We'll get back to that scheme shortly. So Tether is not actually US dollars, okay? That's something to note here. There's absolutely no way to run Know Your Customer to international standards on Bitcoin transactions and also have Bitcoin treated like legal tenders. So they're setting up a gateway for questionable Bitcoins. Now, this is something we've talked about with the recent mining council that's been put together with Michael Saylor and many others that recognize that they need to deal with the flaws within Bitcoin and its network, whether it's the anonymity issue, right, or whether it's the energy consumption issue, right, and many other things. So settlement time, all of these things. So anyway, I'm going to keep moving really quickly here. You're getting the issue here. This is really... Okay. And surprisingly in good standing with the Financial Action Task Force, El Salvador, the country, is in good standing with the FATF on an international level. So there is that. Okay, El Salvador's AML, anti-money laundering status, is directly endangered by the adoption of Bitcoin. This then becomes a question of how long the rest of the world wants to keep doing business with them and what that does to incoming remittances, because now you have this, what is going to be perceived as a safe haven for a lot of bad actors to want to come through this channel and begin to try to move funds discreetly, right? Okay, how well does Strike work? Well, Bitcoin Beach was set up in the village of El Zante as proof of concept for circular Bitcoin-based local economy. This is subsidized by an anonymous Bitcoin whale. Associated Press looked into the Bitcoin Beach. You'll be unsurprised to hear there's an artificial experiment that does not work as advertised. It was associated with the project Talk It Up, excuse me, but when AP spoke to ordinary people, they turned out to go near it turned out not to go near the Bitcoin system, includes some quotes from himself in this article. So, remittances pay dollars, send Tether. Now, here's the problem. Francis Coppola hypothesized that the president of El Salvador will create a U.S. dollar stablecoin and debase its backing rather than using actual dollars as a way to print money. Okay, let me go on here. Just one more section here, and I'm going to let it go. So, after hypothesizing that there will be a lack of backing behind the stablecoin that's issued, like the problem suggested with Tether, Coppola guess was very close. Strike uses Tether to transmit U.S. dollars from U.S. to El Salvador, and the balance at the other end stays in Tether. A Tether is a U.S. dollar equivalent stablecoin. Tether Incorporated used to claim Tethers were backed 1-to-1 by U.S. dollars in a bank account. This was a brazen lie, so Tether now claims they're backed by squirrels and confetti. There has never been a verifiable redemption of Tethers for dollars supposedly backing them. Jack Mallers, the CEO of Zap, who runs Strike, describes Tether as a synthetic digital dollar on your smartphone with the minor issue that Tethers are absolutely not dollars. With the minor issue that Tether are absolutely not dollars. Keynote, key phrase right there. Right? So to walk through a user story, I want to send $1,000 to a friend of mine in El Salvador. When I initiate $1,000, Strike debits my existing USD balance. Strike then automatically converts my $1,000 to Bitcoin, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, ready for use in its infrastructure. Using its real-time automated risk management trading infrastructure, Strike then moves Bitcoin across the Gulf of Mexico, where it arrives in our Central American infrastructure in less than a second and for no cost, it says. Strike then takes the Bitcoins and automatically converts them back into USD Tether, synthetic digital dollar known as Tether. Using its real-time automated risk management and trading infrastructure, Strike then credits the existing user with the USD Tether to their Strike account. What if your family back home wants the, dollars that you worked hard for in the US and thought you were sending them to them? So then it says here, well, that's easy. You can cash out your USD Tether balance as USD at a Strike-operated Bitcoin ATM. How many Bitcoin ATMs are there in El Salvador? It looks to be 2. Both are in Bitcoin Beach. Is anyone else seeing a problem here? I mean, this does not a solution make. I'm not even trying to be funny. This is a mess. And what I think about is I think about the people that live in this country that don't earn a fair or decent wage to begin with. And then having to send money back and forth and using this system and having it take a half hour to settle and getting hit with $20 or $60 for transaction fees. What in the world? All right. I could go on, but this is a mess, honestly. It's a mess. I don't know where this all goes, but I tell you, the whole idea that Tether may not be properly backed has been an issue that just won't go away. And, for the citizens of El Salvador, I hope that this works out, and I hope that it works out smoothly. But truthfully, when I hear about trying to draw off the energy of a volcano to get zero emissions, and then giving people USD Tether, which has been really in great question about whether it's properly backed to begin with, And then the Strike Network, if you go on and read in here, and the Lightning Network have had major problems with bad actors getting on that network and trying to do very, very bad things to the network and anyone using it. This just seems like a recipe for disaster. So I hope people are aware of what's going on here, and I hope that they're very careful before they decide to take and be a part of this system. I really do. I really do. Moving on very quickly here, because we got to get all of this in. Cardano deploys the first simple contract on Alonzo Blue testnet. Shout out to Charles Hoskinson, who is amazing. I love what he's doing, and I love what these guys are doing too. This is Flare Networks will launch later this month, they say. Pre-launch, there are over 50 exchanges already supporting Flare. Upon launch, Flare will have global liquidity. It will also have cross-chain utility, and it will unite communities. Look at all those list of exchanges there. And it's really true, and I am excited to find out about it. I am talking with Clinton Donnelly about getting a sneak peek at what this tax implication may be and how we could deal with it as XRP and Spark holders. So stay tuned for that one. And this is really exciting because now XDC is going to be available on the platform. Flare Finance is pleased to announce their partnership with ZenFin Official. There it is. And how am I not following that? I know I followed that already. You ever see that Twitter sometimes unfollows you from something? I've had that happen several times. Additionally, ZenFin Network has pledged 5 million XDC to the APY cloud for governance staking. Like, retweet, comment, and follow. Yeah, I love it. For a chance to win one of 5 $100 prizes in XRP. Come on in. Yeah, make sure you take a chance to participate in that. According to CNBC survey with 750 participants, and almost 50% of millennials millionaires have invested at least 1/4 of their wealth in cryptocurrencies. In comparison to more than 30% of them have located at least half of their assets in crypto. Now, I just found those numbers to be pleasantly surprising and staggering, honestly, that amount of their investment from millennial millionaires is in crypto assets. I think that just bodes well for us moving forward in the digital asset space. This is a reminder, we covered this. State Street Corporation has announced the launch of its new division, one that will allow a company to expand into cryptocurrencies, tokenization, central bank digital currencies, and blockchain technology. State Street is massive with trillions under management. And I'll tell you, that's one of those signs that, well, I don't care what the prices are doing. When I see stuff like this, I'm in it for the long haul. You know why? Because they are too. Looking here, this is an article here that says decentralized finance is the future unless these banks make a lot of very big changes to their business model in short order. They won't exist. And it goes on in the article. I'm not going to read it to you, but it really just breaks down the idea of DeFi and about how you won't need a bank. You could take your assets and you could put them up for a loan against those assets and go do the things that you want to do, and for which you do not need a bank to do these things. Right? So it really is discussing the idea and notion about how DeFi can take and move us as an entire planet and human civilization from a debt-based system to an asset-backed system. And I truly believe that is one of the ultimate macro goals. Looking here, we see the Federal Reserve is feeling the pressure and is taking significant step forward to launching its own virtual currency, a move that could shake up banks, give millions of low-income Americans access to the financial system, and fortify the dollar's status as the world reserve currency, and certainly could. They're going to do something, and they are. Here, I just wanted to highlight that Naha Narula, who's leading the efforts at MIT to work with Boston Fed on central bank digital currency, called the project a once-in-a-century opportunity to redesign the dollar in a way that supports innovation, much like the internet did. Now, the whole article is fantastic, and I suggest you read it. It's on my page on Twitter, but for the sake of time, I just wanted to share. This is Rosie Rios, who joined Ripple just a few months ago, and she's the 43rd treasurer for the United States Treasury. And she's talking here back in 2014, and guess who else was designing the future of money in 2014? That's right, Rosie Rios, who's now at Ripple.
The next-gen $100 note is the last denomination of that particular family of notes. We're working on the future generation of currency. So that is my other job. is I'm the chair of the Advanced Counterfeit Deterrence Steering Committee. So as the chair, I oversee the collaborative effort of designing future currency.
And how about that? And now she's at Ripple. Isn't that something? I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Probably nothing there at all. And the fact that we're on the heels of watching the Bank of the International Settlements, which is the central bank of central banks around the world, and they keep breaking down the different models and ideas about where they're headed towards for what they're going to use as a digital currency model for central bank money. One example is the MCBDC model. 3 is the MCCDC model bridge project, which addresses the potential of distributed ledger technology. Isn't that interesting? To enhance financial infrastructure across cross-border payments. It talks about the Intanon Lion Rock project of Bank of Thailand and Hong Kong Monetary Authority. We have covered that extensively here on the channel. It talks about real-time support gross cross-border settlement for foreign exchange payments using distributed ledger technology. The MCBDC bridge is a multi-currency CBDC platform on which participating central banks form several jurisdictions that can analyze business use cases such as international trade settlement and capital market transactions. It goes on to talk about Project Dunbar, which explores different governance and connectivity models that will require central banks to issue wholesale CBDCs on a shared multi-CBDC platform. I don't know, maybe like the private ledger that they built with Ripple on the XRP ledger open source technology? Could be. Doesn't say here, but certainly could be. We know it's not on Bitcoin or Lightning Network or Strike, though, don't we? Yeah. Okay, so we can take that off the table. So, and finally, financial industry of Project Ubin aims to develop platform prototypes that enables the purchases, exchange transfers, and redemptions of these CBDCs in a shared test environment. Project will explore new use cases made possible through smart contracts and multi-CBDCs use, such as mechanisms, algorithms that enable more efficient matching and settlement of foreign exchange transactions. I can't help but think of Codius in that sentence. Project Juro says here, conducted by Banque de France and Swiss National Bank, which we just reported on, that are getting ready to do tests. And listen to this one, the BIS Innovation Hub, together with a private sector consortium, is exploring cross-border settlements with 2 wholesale CBDCs in a digital security on a DLT platform. It will involve the exchange of the French digital security and a Euro wholesale CBDC through the delivery versus payment settlement mechanism and the exchange of Euro wholesale CBDC against Swiss franc wholesale CBDC through a payment versus payment settlement mechanism. These are the things that are happening right now with the Fed and the BIS right now. It is coming. I don't know when. It is coming. We know for a fact that central banks have already got a private fork built off of the XRP ledger. It's not a guess. It's not an opinion. It's not speculation. That has happened. Now, is it a leap? Is it speculation to think that somehow that private fork may be involved in the research and work of the BIS? Yes, it is. Is it a big leap? No, it isn't. And that's where I'm going to leave it on today. We took a small leap and said, I think somewhere along the lines, XRP, Ripple, the company, is involved in some of these, if not all of these tests. And that's where I'm going to leave my speculation on this day. Not financial advice for you or me or anyone else, but that's where I'm at. Make sure you guys check it out. I Trust Capital. If you are concerned about tax implications, if you have a 401k and maybe you've lost your job and you need to move it and do something with it, consider this. It is the best crypto, gold, silver IRA on the planet. These people are remarkable, and they are great stewards of your money and your investments. So make sure you check them out. There's a link in the description box and comment section for everything, products and services that I use each and every day. And more importantly, they are trusted, vetted links. So you know you can click on them without being hacked or scammed and all of that business. So that's going to do it for me. Enjoy your Sunday. It is June 13th. And I hope you enjoy your day with your family and friends, and I will catch all of you on the next one.